In this video, you're going to learn how to draw Bohr diagrams. We're going to start by drawing fluorine, but before we start, let's examine our subatomic particles. There are three subatomic particles: protons, neutrons, and electrons. The protons and neutrons are located in the nucleus, and the electrons are located outside the nucleus on electron shells or in the electron cloud. So we're going to start by just drawing our nucleus, and there are 9 protons and 10 neutrons. You do not need to draw those out. You just need to write 9 protons and 10 neutrons and put them in the nucleus. The next we need to draw an electron shell, and on our first shell there can be a total of 2 electrons max. So it doesn't mean that there has to be 2 electrons, but there must be no more than 2 electrons. So we place 2 electrons, but we still have 9, we still need a total of 9 electrons, so we have 7 more electrons to go. So that means we're going to need to draw another electron shell, a second electron shell. And on the second electron shell, there can be 8 electrons max. So that doesn't mean we need to have 8. We only have 7 more to draw because we just have a total of 9. But once we have 8, then we would have to go to the next shell. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if you count all of those dots, that would be a total of 9 electrons, 2 on the first shell and 7 on the second shell. So that is the Bohr diagram for fluorine. Notice how I paired these electrons up. That makes it easier to count them, and it keeps them a little organized. However, electrons are not just sitting next to a partner on a circle. They are moving rapidly around a nucleus in an atom. So now we're going to try sulfur. So again, we're going to start with our nucleus. Our nucleus is going to have these protons and neutrons. So now we have 16 protons and 16 neutrons in our nucleus. On the first shell, we are going to have a total of 2 electrons, and we need a total of 16 electrons. So we've drawn 2 electrons. Those are on the first shell. Then on the second shell, we're going to have a total of 8. Okay, so at this point, we have drawn 2 plus 8, so that's 10 electrons. We still need to draw 6 more. But the second shell can only have a maximum of 8, so we would need to add a third shell. And we have 6 more to draw. Now, the third shell is a little tricky. The third shell first gets 8, and then later on, it can have a total of 18. That's going to be the bonus questions. So right now, I want you to think the third shell has 8, and we'll get into that 18 in a little bit. So pause the video at this point and go ahead and draw those Bohr diagrams for all of the elements, except for the ones that have a star next to them. So hopefully at this point you've drawn all of the Bohr diagrams except for the ones with a star next to them. And I'm going to show you how to draw strontium. And hopefully this will help you draw the other very large ones. So just like with fluorine and sulfur, we start out by looking at our nucleus. So in our nucleus we have 38 protons and we have 50 neutrons. Now we have a total of 38 electrons. We know that 2 can go on the first shell. 8 can go on the second shell. 8 can go on the third shell. But remember, I said 18. So once we have 8 on the third shell, 2 actually go into the fourth shell. And then after those 2 go into the fourth shell, then another 10 go into that third shell. Okay? Once those 10 go into the third shell, then another 8, then another 6 will go into the fourth shell. So let's see how this works. In our first shell, we have a total of 2. On our second shell, we have a total of 8, so this brings us up to 10. Then on our third shell, we will have 8 more. So 10 plus 8 gives us a total of 18, but we need 38. We still need 20 more electrons. So we go to the fourth shell, and on the fourth shell we put 2, and I'll get into the reasons a little bit later in class. We put 2, and then on the third shell we put 10 more. So at this point we have 2 plus 8, so that's the first shell and the second shell, so that's a total of 10, plus another 8, so that's 18, plus another 2, so that's 20, plus 10, so that's 30, plus 6, so that'll be 36. So, and at this point, so I need to add 10 more, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now I have a total of 30. So now I will add 6 to this second shell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're at 36. And then we go to our fifth shell. And we put 2 on the fifth shell. So that'll be 36, 37, 38. After the fifth shell, we would go back to the fourth shell. So after placing these 2, we would go back to the fourth shell and place another 10. And you will see a pattern start to develop where it's 2, 8, 8, 2, 10, 6, 2, 10, 6. And as we learn more about the periodic table, it will make more and more sense. So go ahead and try some of these challenge Bohr diagrams on your periodic table.